Hello, Friday, the 11th of October 2019, and I am Thekla Petridou, a psychologist and an author. And today I want to talk about low self-esteem and the effect it has, the impact it has on our relationships. What we mean by the term low self-esteem. Self-esteem is a word used to describe the view we have about ourselves, the appreciation we have about ourselves. The term that is usually used is to describe low self-esteem, which means a person that does not love herself, does not appreciate herself as much as she deserves. In order to have normal self-esteem or high self-esteem or a healthy self-esteem, there are some conditions in order to achieve that. Children who are brought up in loving and caring families, they tend to have higher self-esteem. Adults that have had a lot of positive experiences in their lives also tend to have high self-esteem. Adults that have successfully dealt with the difficulties that came along their ways, they also tend to have high self-esteem. Adults that worked with themselves through therapy, through other spiritual paths, also tend to have higher self-esteem. But most of us lack in self-esteem. We have less self-esteem than what we deserve. In other words, we do not value ourselves as much as we deserve. We have an idea, we have a perception of ourselves that we deserve less in life. We deserve less love, less attention, less understanding, fewer opportunities, fewer good or positive experiences, and that generally we do not worth as much as other people that we usually feel less of, or jealous of, or envious of. Our children grow up in a society that it is very strict with people. Our society is harsh. Western societies nowadays, they have a lot of criticism. Try to post a picture online, you're going to have criticism either on the comments in the section below, either between friends. Try to change your hair, you're going to have criticism. Try to make a bold decision about your life, like divorcing your husband or your wife, you're going to have criticism. Try not to go by the rules. Of course, you're by the societal rules. I don't mean the laws, by the societal rules. You're going to get criticized as well. Try to be different, to look different than what society thinks is normal or is beautiful or is accepted. You're gonna get criticized. And our society is also highly competitive. We learn since we were young children that we should try to be better than our brothers or sisters, better than our classmates, better than everybody, and we should try hard. And a successful person is one who achieves to become better than others. These competitive ideas are so prominent in our Western culture. Of course, it's a very complex issue why our societies are so competitive, and I'm not a sociologist, and this is not the time to analyze this, but it's a fact that most of us grew up in a competitive manner. So, what happens when one person, an adult, has low self-esteem, thinks less of herself or himself, and how this affects his relationships with himself or herself and with other people around them. When you have low self-esteem, you do not have a good relationship with yourself. You do not appreciate yourself. You don't love yourself. You might loathe yourself. You might hate yourself. You might blame yourself for things that are not your responsibility. For example, it's not my fault that I'm short and fat, or it's not my fault that I was born in the family I was born, or it's not my fault that some things happened in my life. Not everything is our fault. Not everything is under our control. For example, the most prominent example, of course, is our appearance. We do not choose our genes. We are not there the time we are conceived, so that to choose what genes we want. If we want to be blonde, if we want to be brunette, or if we want to have fair skin or darker skin or whatever. These are the gifts that we come with in life. And some people do not consider their appearance a gift. They consider their appearance something to be ashamed of. And these people with low self-esteem, they loathe themselves. They loathe their appearance. They hate themselves. They hate the way they look. They hate the way they walk. They hate everything about them. So when you are in a hatred relationship with yourself, then you are definitely unhappy. You might get anxiety. You might get depression. You might get all kind of mood disorders because you are in a life relationship with somebody you hate. All the time we talk about being able to get away from abusive relationships, but in the case that we have low self-esteem, we are bound for our lives with somebody that we hate ourselves. So having low self-esteem can affect our mental health, can be one of the causes of depression, anxiety, panic attacks, and any other mood disorder. How low self-esteem can affect our relationships with our friends? Let's go to easy things first, for friends. Then we go to work, and then we go to love relationships. If you are in a friendship, or if you are in a group of friends, and you feel less of yourself, you are more inclined to not speak your mind, to obey to the group's or the other person's decisions, and not to enjoy yourself in the friendship or in the group relationship, because every time you be with those people, you forget all about yourself, you forget about what you wish, what you like, what you want, and you obey to their wishes. And if other people find somebody who is so easy to control, they might get advantage of him or her, and they might mistreat him or mistreat her. Another possibility is that if a person has low self-esteem and they hate themselves, to project this hatred into others. And these people are the ones who become bullies, and the ones who become racists, are the ones who become highly judgmental of other people. Highly judgmental people have very low self-esteem, and the way they judge themselves so harsh, they do on others, and they project it on others. Anyway, low self-esteem can cause problems in relationships and in friendships. It makes you a bad friend. It makes you either an abusive friend or a friend that is susceptible to abuse. What about work relationships? The same happens with work relationships. If you have low self-esteem in your workplace, you will not be able to act in ways that they will show the other people around you that you value yourself and you try for the best. People with low self-esteem tend to blame themselves for everything going wrong in the workplace. They tend to take up on more work than they should, and they don't speak up their mind. They tend to become very obedient, or the opposite. They might become disobedient. They might project their anger that they have with themselves on their coworkers or their bosses, etc. You are not a good coworker or a good boss or a good employee if you do not have a good relationship with yourself and you have low self-esteem. And let's go to love relationships. There, it's the party. Because in love relationships, we get connected to the deeper level that we can connect to any other human being. Because we have not only a personal relationship, we also have a physical relationship, a sexual relationship, and a carnal relationship. And love relationships are the ones that remind us of the relationships we had with our parents when we were very young and of the relationship we have with ourselves. The same relationship you have with yourself, you will project to your lover, no matter what. If you love yourself, then you will be able to love your partner. If you hate yourself, if you loathe yourself, if you have low self-esteem, you're gonna project this on your partner. You are gonna be somebody that can be codependent on their partner, and you can victimize yourself or allow yourself to be victimized by an abusive love partner, by an abusive lover, or you can be the abusive lover, because the way you don't love yourself, that way you don't love your partner, and the way you abuse yourself emotionally, you might abuse your partner emotionally or even physically. Low self-esteem is not an excuse for violence, it's not an excuse for racism, it's not an excuse for being judgmental, it's not an excuse for anything. Low self-esteem is a diagnosis in brackets, because we cannot diagnose ourselves. Only if we visit a professional like a psychiatrist or a psychologist, we can get the diagnosis, or we can get the specific saying that I see that your self-esteem is low, and in that way, self-esteem, there is no diagnosis on DSM-5 or ICD-10 for low self-esteem, but if you have low self-esteem, it's a situation that you have to deal with it, not a situation that excuses you to be abusive to yourself and other people. So, if you feel that you have low self-esteem, don't sleep tight. Wake up, seek for therapy, and try to boost your self-esteem and try to make the relationship with yourself healthy in order to be able to have healthier and happy relationships with other people around you. That's for today. If you liked my video, you can subscribe on my channel. Every Friday at 1 o'clock, at 1 noon, a new video in English is released. Thank you. Have a nice weekend.